So one of the number one questions that I get when people are looking to buy short-term rentals in the Austin, Central Texas market is, where should I buy one? We're a huge market. We have houses all over. And so I'm going to give you the same talk that I give to almost every short-term rental buyer that comes to me. And there's a couple things we look at. Where do people like to travel when they visit Austin? So if you've been to Austin before, you know some of the hot spots are downtown, South Congress. We have the F1 track. We have the Austin FC soccer. East Austin is proximity to downtown. So those are obvious ones, right? Some of the non-obvious ones, like Travis, that's more of a seasonal market, but you can do quite well in Lake Travis. And then another market that we really is Georgetown, which has a historic square. They have festivals there, and there's a lot of weddings, and there's a university up there. So that's another area. So let me just share. This is from my weekly picks of property, and we'll just look at this map. This is straight from MLS. So South Austin, when we're looking South Austin, obviously closer to the river and downtown is great, but it gets quite pricey there. So it depends on what your budget is, what you're looking for. Sometimes you can find homes with 2 units on one property in this area. It's great. The numbers are much higher, but you will also have higher revenues in this area because you're right next to South Congress, you're right next to downtown, you're right next to the river. South Austin is great. If your budget is a little bit lower, you can still do quite well even south of 290. This is 78745. This area closer 400s, 500s, sometimes a little bit higher, depending on what you're getting. But this area also does quite well. It still has proximity to South Congress. A lot of people coming in don't really know that there's a highway that divides this area. And so you can do quite well in South Austin. And one thing I should step back and say is it's really not advised to buy a STR that's an HOA. You can in some condos, depending on whether they allow it, and some HOAs do allow it, but it's kind of case by case basis. So what I like to do when we're searching for properties, best case scenario, no HOA. And that typically means you're going to get an older home, especially with the proximity to downtown. But that's okay. People like that quaint older home. They might not want to live in an older home every day, but when they're traveling, they're okay being in an older home. So that's something to consider. Next area, East Austin is really great for short-term rentals. One of our favorite properties is a 2-bedroom. 2 bedrooms do really well in East Austin. I don't even know if there's a 2-bedroom there. Closer you are to the river, closer you are to downtown, higher the price point. But even up in here, these do really well also. No HOAs, older homes, or sometimes tear down and rebuilt homes. In East Austin, there's a lot of development where they'll tear a house down and build 2 units, A and B. Love B units for short-term rentals because they're typically 2 bedrooms, typically less expensive. Might not be where someone wants to live long-term, but it's a great investment property for short-term rentals. I'm actually right now in this property, I'm in a B unit. It's got a kitchen, living room, downstairs, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths upstairs, and it's great as a hotel replacement. So if you have 4 guests, maybe a small family, it stays pretty booked. Surprisingly, it's not booked today, but people coming in next weekend for ACL, or actually tomorrow for ACL weekend and the weekend after. So it stays pretty booked. And so we love those 2 bedrooms, but that doesn't mean you can't do a 3. I also have a 3 bedroom. But East Austin is a great place. Yes, it's saturated, but I'll talk more about that on another video as far as saturation goes. Another area, North Central Austin, we have proximity to University of Texas and still close enough to downtown. A little more neighborhoody, I don't know the right word, but some really cute older homes as well. Also tear downs and rebuilds. A great area to also invest in. And then, as you can see, I'm going downtown and a small radius. We don't go too far out. We don't go too far north. We do have clients that have invested further north, but they're just not going to see the revenue numbers. Yes, you can get a cheaper property, but typically the further out you go, it's going to be better for corporate rentals, maybe mid-term rentals, 30-day stays if they're working at Apple or Dell, those type of travelers, traveling nurses, but they're not going to hit the same numbers that a short-term rental will hit closer to downtown. The other area you can look is out toward the lake. This area gets a little tricky for a few reasons. There's a lot of HOAs, and so you want to avoid an HOA that does not allow short-term rentals. And sometimes those are same neighborhood case by case basis. And so I have to really vet those. The other thing is you're going to have seasonality and lake levels. So our lake was super duper low for the last 2 years. And then we just had a big flood. It's back up. People are back enjoying the lake more. But just keep in mind that you can have that as a risk, but short-term rentals can do quite well on the lake. The other thing that we like to see on lake properties is the ones with pools do significantly better than the ones without pools. That's going to be broadly all over. If you choose a property with a pool, it will bring in a lot more revenue than the actual pool cost. And so we do like properties with pools, especially if you're going beyond the 2 bedrooms. But in this area in particular, you need to look for properties with pools. And then lastly, one other area is Georgetown. So Georgetown is a suburb. It's about 40 minutes from downtown, not too far, but it is its own town, and it has a historic square right here. And so anything within proximity to the square. There's also a university here. People like to have weddings here. People like to come visit family here. And then we even have like construction workers. There's a lot of development out here on the east that's happening. Anyways, there's enough to sustain a short-term rental. You're going to get lower price points, somewhere in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. You can get a little bit lower, you can get significantly higher, but that's typically what we see in this area. So Georgetown is another area to look at. And then I don't have any on my list right now, but another area that I would consider is going out east a little bit. So as we go out east, if you go out from the airport, you'll hit Bastrop over here. Actually, I do have one over here. Bastrop is significant because we have Tesla, which has been built out east, and it's also a suburb like Georgetown. There's festivals there as well. There's a river, the Colorado River runs through Bastrop. It's also the start of the piney woods. Like we don't have pine trees in Austin, but once you hit Bastrop, East Bastrop, you're going to see larger pine trees, which makes it feel a lot different than Austin. And just a lot of development going out that way. You're probably not going to hit the same numbers that you're going to hit close to downtown, but it could be an up and coming area that you decide to invest in, and price points are a little lower out there as well. So those are my areas. And when I send properties, I typically will focus on those areas. Every once in a while, something will fall outside of the box. Down between San Antonio and Austin can also be a great area. Canyon Lake is another lake similar to Lake Travis. We have Lake LBJ up in Marble Falls. Some of that can be a good area to invest in. We have Fredericksburg, which is a ton of short-term rentals. They are regulated there a little bit, but that's a great area to invest in. So there are other areas outside of my standard go-to. This is where we start. So if you want to talk more, just reach out to me. We can discuss further what would be the best area for you to look in based on your budget, your needs. Are you going to be using this home partially when you visit, or is it going to be purely investment? So those are some of the discussions we have when we decide where to look for you to invest in a property. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.